Welcome to episode 168 of the Startup Show. Today, I'm talking to the CEO and founder of SUSI Partners, Tobias, and we are talking everything around traveling the world. We talk about SUSI Partners, renewable energy, and everything that you need to know about sustainability. But we also talk about the various different hats in crypto and also about Singularity University and very, very fascinating topics around work-life balance. Make sure to stay tuned for the entire video. Welcome to episode 168 of the Startup Show. Today I'm here at the offices of SUSI Partners and I'm very excited to talk to the CEO and founder, Tobias. Tobias, welcome to the Startup Show. I'm really excited to have you. Such a wide variety of personality, of things that I've seen about you online. But nevertheless, I want to be very traditional on the show and give the first minute and a half to give you a little bit of background about yourself to my audience.
Well, thanks for being here, first of all. Background of myself, I think I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
This has defined my person over the last 20 years. I built my first company when I was a student. I think I take the environment very serious. I take climate change serious. I think it's the biggest threat we as humanity are currently facing. I like to be in the nature. I like to be in the mountains. That's why I have a house there. That's where I spend most of my time. I like to be with my friends. I have a dog. And I travel a lot. So I think by now I have traveled through more than 90 countries and I still like to explore the rest of it. So yeah, all this is interesting to me, you know, exploring new cultures, traveling and so on.
One of the things that one of your friends told me I should ask you about is about the traveling you did by car. You traveled around with an off-roader for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Mainly, maybe you can elaborate very briefly about like what was like your key takeaway from being on the road or being like, you know, in so many different countries.
Key takeaway, clear for me, it's people are friendly and supportive wherever you go. The crazy thing is whenever you plan to enter a new country, so for example, from Japan you go to Russia, the people in Japan or even the Russian embassy tells you you're crazy, you shouldn't go there, it's far too dangerous. Once you are in Russia, people are helpful. They would not let you down on anything. They take a day off to help you with the changing of oil. The funny thing is though, when you're in Russia, they tell you, but take care. When you travel on to Mongolia, that's super dangerous. Don't go there. Once you're in Mongolia, they tell you the same about China. So it's interesting to see that whatever country you are in, people are a bit afraid of the next country. You know, if you're in the United States, they tell you if you go to Mexico, you will be murdered. If you're in Mexico, they tell you don't go to Guatemala. But in general, my experience was wherever I was, I made friends. People helped me with every little thing. They were generous. So yeah, when you travel the globe, you see that no matter what culture you are in, people are the same. They want to help. They like to have cultural exchange and everything. So this was my key takeaway, I would say.
When you started off your career, you were also at BCG, which is more like a corporate consulting. What kind of like inspired you then to like make this transition into entrepreneurship?
I was an entrepreneur before. So I was an entrepreneur when I was a student. I sold my first company when I was 24, I guess, when I graduated from university. And then I joined BCG, maybe also for a lack of what should I do next. I did not have a clear idea on my next startup. And BCG is a cool company, and I thought and that's also true, you see a wide variety of industries. You are working together with smart people. And so I did that, but already when I signed the contract, I gave myself a deadline of by when I want to leave again, because I knew that I don't want to be a consultant for the rest of my life. Yes. And so I did this for a bit more than 2 years, and then I went traveling. And during my world trip, I gave myself the mandate, you could say, that over these 2 years of world trip, I want to find out what to do next. And I gave myself 3 parameters, which was must be entrepreneurial, must be scalable, and must help the greater picture in a way, have an impact, a positive impact. So these 3 parameters were decisive in what I want to do next then. But it was always clear that I want to be an entrepreneur again.
Yes. So then, like right after, that's what you started with SUSI Partners. That was 10 years ago, about.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago, pretty much exactly. On this world trip, one of the big insights I had was that climate change is really a problem. And you know, I mean, I traveled 43 countries in these 2 years, all around the globe, and you see climate change happening everywhere. In Switzerland, it's the glaciers retracting. If you are in the north of Siberia or Canada, Alaska, you see that the permafrost is not permanent anymore. When you walk around at swamplands, and 10 years ago this was solidly frozen, you see that in Bolivia they have no water anymore because the glaciers have melted in La Paz and trucks come and bring fresh water and all that stuff. And I think this was for me the moment when I said, that's where I want to work, that's where I want to achieve an impact. And this was when the idea of SUSI Partners was born. And when I came home first, I joined a foundation where I could learn a bit more about how to invest in renewable power plants and so on. But pretty fast then I founded SUSI.
So let's talk about SUSI Partners, which is, I would say, probably one of the most time-consuming of your daily life, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us a little bit about SUSI Partners so we fully understand the big picture of what you're doing.
SUSI is an asset management company, a fund manager. What we do is we invest in infrastructure which is relevant for the energy transition. That can be solar parks, wind parks. We are the biggest energy efficiency investor, so we finance the retrofit of existing infrastructure and take part of the resulting savings, energy savings, as an income. That's called contracting. And we finance this off balance sheet so that a city who wants to replace its streetlights does not need to have a budget for that. We take 100% of the cost, and the city signs a contract with us and provides us with 50% of the generated savings. It's free lunch for the city. It's a win-win, really. Now, we have done more than 35 projects in energy efficiency alone now. In total, SUSI has done 85 transactions over the last 10 years. We never lost one. We are also the first fund manager investing in energy storage. That's large-scale batteries. We talk about shipping containers full of batteries, or spin wheels or compressed air. So every technology which is able to store energy, basically. We are an infrastructure investor. We do not invest in companies. We invest in everything you can touch. A wind park, for example. We currently have 5 funds. We are with 2 more new ones in the market right now. We manage with more than $1 billion. We intend to grow this to about $2.5 billion in the next 18 months. So it's definitely a growing business.
When you say you allocate some of your resources to sustainability, but also to this fund, what does it mean in the bigger picture? What is your vision with SUSI Partners? Where do you want the world to be? I mean, you probably had the vision when you started 10 years ago, and probably it's time to renew, which I hope you did probably already.
The vision is the same. The vision has not changed.
What is the vision for the next 10 years?
Look, the vision is we finance the energy transition. And this doesn't only mean that we put a lot of money at that, but we also are innovative in how can you finance the energy transition. And what is that? I mean, energy efficiency, everybody knew, is a topic where you have one hell of potential. Example, if you exchange a light bulb against a LED light bulb, you save 70% energy. And the lifetime of an LED light bulb is 5 times longer than of an old-fashioned light bulb. So everybody should do that. The payback if you invest in street light retrofit, so new LED street lights, is 3 years. Lifetime is 15 years, you get 5 times your money back. So this is a fact, and this fact was known. I mean, it's not that we discovered that. Philips knew this since years and so on. But nobody found a mean of how to finance that. Because when you talk to the mayor of a city, they say, yeah, that's interesting, but sorry, we have other priorities. We need to build a new school, we need to refurbish the street or whatever that is. And energy efficiency is not a high priority. So there, we as a company were asked to be innovative, to come up with a new way of structuring this so that you can invest money. And so I think that's what I mean. It's not only providing money, it's also being innovative in structuring financing, allowing to really tackle the transition here. And so that's our mandate. We want to invest against climate change, but we also want to pave the way for others to come after us, do the same as us, basically, to have as big impact as possible. And so far, this has worked well. So energy efficiency, we know that others are in the market or come to market with energy efficiency funds. And in a way, I welcome this. Of course, it's competition, but we are advanced, we have a better track record. And it's good if more money is tackling climate change. Energy storage, we do the same. Now we are doing an energy transition fund. We export our financing models, for example, also to Asia, where we do the same as we did in Europe now. So that's our mandate, really, being innovative in how to finance the energy transition.
Can you maybe explore a little bit? You mentioned wind, you mentioned the street light. What other ways are there where you can say this are interesting investment opportunities for you?
It's really in these 3 sectors of providing clean energy. It's renewables, but it's not only onshore wind, it's also offshore wind. That's a newer topic. We also look at repowering of wind farms. You take old wind parks, you take them down, exchange them against new, bigger ones. Nice thing is you take a nice track record of wind data with you. In energy efficiency, everything which is older than 10 years and consumes a lot of energy is a project. Give you an example. You could refurbish social houses older than 15 years. You put solar on the roof, maybe a battery in the cellar, LED lighting, a more efficient boiler or heat pump, and so on. You can do this at a large scale. Everybody benefits of that. So the tenants would pay less rent, electricity bills go down, the owner or investor gets a return, that will be us. The environment profits, of course. The technology company is happy that they sold new technology, so it really makes a lot of sense. In energy storage, where we see a lot of opportunities is every market which has already a lot of renewable energy fights now with the volatility of renewables. Solar and wind are not always there when you need it. So you have a mismatch of demand and supply curve, energy production versus energy consumption. And if you want to achieve energy transition, you must be able to bring those curves next to each other. And this you can achieve with energy storage. So our job is here to provide storage capacity at the right place so that renewable energy is available when you really need it.
What kind of investment sizes do I have to imagine? I mean, those are huge sums, I guess, to renew such plants?
We invest anywhere between 5 and 100 million.
Per
project.
Plant, yes. This whole idea of climate change and sustainability is a big trend right now. Everybody is kind of talking, students going onto the street talking about it. And one of the big questions that I had for you is we are here in Switzerland, we live, I would say, in a nice and green environment, even if we're in the city of Zurich. What is it that we on a day-to-day basis can do? To make not everybody has 5 to 100 million spare to invest, but is there something that you would say this is something that from a big picture perspective, which I believe you have, even with your global aspect of all of the traveling you did, what is it that we can do on an individual basis?
Yeah, low-hanging fruits, change all the light bulbs against LED. Everybody can do it. And you really have a positive payback. That's fast. It makes sense. So everybody who has not done it yet, please do it. Yes. Second thing, don't fly if you can do it with a video call. Flying is not good for the environment. Do I never fly? No, I have to fly. If you do big deals, you still need to sit around a table. You need to get a feeling for the other's body language and so on. I hope that virtual reality might bring a solution to that one day. It's not yet there. But you should definitely reduce that, And then what everybody can do as well is, if you emit a lot of CO2 by flying or whatever, compensate it. You can buy compensation with companies like My Climate, and so you can basically live a zero footprint life, even though you fly somewhere and so on. So these are measures everybody can take.
What do you think are, let's say, the impact of the next couple of years? When you look at climate change over the next 10 to 20 years, what do you feel is actually happening? There's a lot of talking, the media and everybody's talking, and social media, you see a lot of stuff, but what do you think is going to be reality? And we understand it's just your opinion, but in general, what do you think is going to be reality in our day-to-day life?
The reality is we have warmer seasons. Summer is hotter. What do you think, when in the last 100 years were the 10 warmest years? The last 100 years?
I mean, if you ask us this, I guess the last 5 or something.
No, the last 10. The 10 hottest years in the last 100 years were in the last 10 years.
Yes.
This is not a coincidence. So, here statistics have proven that global warming is happening. It's not a maybe, it's a fact. CO2 concentration in the air has broken through 400 parts per million. And in the average over the last 500,000 years, it never has been as high. So, of course, you can argue that from time to time, climate change happens. We have periods of warming and cooling, but we can say in the last 500,000 years, not 5,000, 500,000 years, we didn't have that. So, is it man-made? Yes, it is, because what you can also see is that the concentration of CO2 was coming with the industrialization, and at the same time it got warmer. So that's not a coincidence. I believe it will be much warmer in summers. It will be shorter skiing periods. It will be more storms, more heavy rains. So climate change does not only mean it's getting warmer. It means that the weather is more extreme. And this we will all experience. And it's happening now, and it will get more intense over the next 10, 20 years. So yes, we are facing this. I mean, what we have to understand is we are not preventing climate change. We are in the midst of it, and we have tried to reduce it.
Or slow it down.
Slow it down, reduce it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we are on the way to 5 degree, global warming over the next 60, 70 years. That if we don't change rapidly what we do, then we are on the way. It's nice that in Europe and Switzerland we have now more clean energy and we are more efficient and we drive more efficient cars. Fact is that on a global scale, our CO2 emissions grow every year still. It's the Chinese, the Indians, and so on. They have just more people with access to fossil fuel in a way, and they use that. In a way, I can understand it, but what we should try to do is to make it more attractive to use clean energy, to drive an electric car, powered by solar or wind, not by fossil fuel, of course. It's about that. I mean, we need to do a lot here because we still walk in the wrong direction.
Let's move the conversation a little bit into the direction of what you do in the startup ecosystem. I mean, like you have many different hats, and one of them is also definitely on more entrepreneurial side in terms of the startups. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit the different mandates you have. I mean, like you're involved in various board seats, and then we'll go more into specific topics.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, primarily I'm an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I like to invest in startups more than just buying shares or so. I have co-founded various startups, the Singularity Fund Group, the Crypto Finance Group, various others as well. What is my role there? I'm an investor. I'm normally a board member. I'm an advisor also to the CEO, but I do not take operational roles. So I only have one operational role, that's at SUSI. My other roles are more of a strategic nature, of sometimes just an investor without a board seat, sometimes with the bigger tickets, an investor with a board seat. And for me, this is super exciting. I mean, I like to work together with entrepreneurs. These are people who have drive. They want to do something. And I'm very happy to support wherever I can, be it with network, with money, whatever is needed.
One of the questions that I also got from one of your friends is I should ask you about why you do this. Why do you have so many different companies at the same time and cut yourself so thin into all different kinds of projects?
Well, as I said, I mean, I would not say that I cut myself thin. I have a clear focus. My operational daily work is SUSI Partners. That's it, nothing else. Why do I have these many interests? I'm interested in everything which is exponential technology connected. I was at the Singularity University 3 years ago. I found it extremely interesting, what you learn there. You develop yourself with that. And that's why probably I have an interest of diversification and not only invest in renewable energy startups, for example. So I think blockchain as a technology is extremely exciting. I think virtual reality is super exciting. Sharing economy is interesting, and so on. What I also learned is that every entrepreneur is facing the same challenges. It does not matter what industry you're in. So I guess being myself an entrepreneur, being active as an entrepreneur, I can help startups in any industry with the experiences I made over the last 10, 12 years being an entrepreneur here. No matter whether they are fighting climate change or working on the blockchain or doing something with space or whatever it is. Yeah.
One of the investments that I think if you're the chairman is the Crypto Finance AG of the group. What is your focus there? I mean, what do you see that we don't have to go into what Crypto Finance is because we had Jan on episode 101. But in general, what do you see in the crypto space that excites you for the next couple of years?
Well, I think the crypto space should not be underestimated. My personal bet is that over the next 10 years, pretty much every currency will be a cryptocurrency. Even if it's the Swiss franc, it will be crypto. I do not see us using paper money in the future. So it's digital money. Is digital money crypto money? No, that's not the same. But I think it will get closer together. The systems used will get closer together. What is our mission at the Crypto Finance Group? It's to bring professionalism into this crazy crypto world. I think we have really been, I would say, the first professional player with a banking background entering that crypto space, providing services on an institutional level. We cater to banks, to family office and so on. So investors who have clearly wish for a proper professional treatment, that's exactly what we provide. And when we entered the space, with Jan as the CEO, we said, let's first do a fund, crypto fund. Then we realized, well, if we want to do that, we need also a broker which fulfills the criteria of professionalism needed here. And then we realized, okay, and there is no real custodian solution to store the private keys of crypto. So we also founded that. And that's why, I mean, we were at the right time in the right place. We basically built 3 companies under this hut of crypto finance group.
You mentioned this, like nothing will be without crypto, or like crypto shouldn't be underestimated. What is the problem right now? What is this misconception that people still have that it has not become mainstream yet? Or you say it's just like a matter of time?
It's early. I mean, we had an amazing hype in 2017. This was unplanned and maybe also not really ideal. Yes. So of course it was cool that the Bitcoin went to 20,000 and I profited of some of the rides up there as well. But maybe this came a bit too early. It came a bit to an unprepared, not yet totally professionalized industry. This industry needs time to develop. It's an early industry. I mean, remember, Satoshi wrote his paper 10 years ago, 11 years ago. That's nothing. And so give it some time. I would say, many of these other exponential fields of technology will need cryptocurrencies. Give you an example: Internet of Things. Internet of Things somehow can, in the future, over blockchain, decide where a lamp wants to get energy from, at what price, and it can automatically pay that energy. With Swiss francs, no. With micropayments, and these micropayments will not work via Visa or MasterCard. They will work via a certain blockchain payment solution. And self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are coming. Now, your self-driving car just dropped you somewhere. You tell the car, go and park yourself somewhere. Okay, how is the car paying for that? That can be done via the blockchain. So I think, all these other areas of business ask for blockchain solutions. Many of them involve payments and contracts where you basically can use cryptos. And so that's why I see quite a bright future for it. What we see at Crypto Finance AG is as well that more and more large, let's call them old world financial players, start to build infrastructure for cryptocurrencies. We can help with that, of course. So I do believe that this first hype, which was mainly driven by private individuals, will now be followed by a more sustainable, longer-term hype or development, let's call it like that, driven by institutional players.
The next topic I want to discuss with you is very exciting to me. I mean, a big Shark Tank fan, so I'm very excited to see about Höhle Der Löwen. As of this recording, it's before the launch, so we'll see how it goes. But you'll be probably world famous by the time this will be launched. But
Swiss famous, maybe not world.
Well, you never know. Anyhow, Höhle Der Löwen, equivalent to the Shark Tank of America, for everybody who doesn't know. But like in general, tell us quickly, what made you decide to do this? Like, I mean, this is a project with a lot of visibility. Usually investors are more like, under the radar.
Yeah.
And nothing against it. I'm also very exposed. But I was saying in general, like, interesting to me why you decided to be part of this series.
3 reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. Reason number 1, I believe in Switzerland, the startup ecosystem could be stronger and it should be more attractive for people to consider becoming entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Why do they not? Because it's a big temptation to just be a corporate citizen and employee. You are graduating from university, you go to any of the large corporates, you get 80,000 Swiss francs or 70 or whatever that is, but a lot of money. Yeah? And if you start your own company, you get 3,000, maybe. So you take risk. Your peers, after 3 years, they go to crazy holidays and lease a nice car, and you're still on the bicycle. So why should you do it? Because it allows for the best lifestyle ever. It's mentally much more challenging and rewarding. But you need to tell people about that. You need to give them examples. And I very much welcomed when I heard that Höhle Der Löwen is coming to Switzerland. It's in, don't ask me how many countries, probably 50 other countries, not yet in Switzerland. And I thought, wow, that's cool. It makes Switzerland as a startup nation more attractive. It gives more profile to entrepreneurs. It's positive showcases where others might consider doing this as well. And for Switzerland as a country, we need entrepreneurs. They are creative. They create new working spaces. And so this was my number 1 reason to say, wow, if I can support that, I absolutely support that. Yeah. Number 2, deal flow. So I do expect A, to see cool deals during the show, and B, also after. When you say public profile, yes, it gives you a public profile as an investor. And by all means, I mean, if somebody has a cool idea and a great team is more important than the idea, really. I'm happy to look at those. So deal flow is number 2. And third, last but not least, I'm interested in just everything new I have not done yet, and I have not done yet TV. So I thought, wow, this is going to be a fun experience. It was a lot of fun, also together with the other lions, amazing, great people. I think we created friendship there, and so this was worth it. I would do it again.
I, religiously watch Shark Tank every week, and we obviously look at Höhle Der Löwen or Dragonstein and try to compare. Do you have any favorite character on the original Shark Tank?
Not really, no.
Because you sit on the Mark Cuban seat, if I saw correctly, all the way on the left.
I didn't even know. So, look, I mean, what we and we the Lions and I myself said is we do it our way, our style, my style. Yep. I do not copy anybody else.
No, about copy, but look up to it.
What of course is the case that the production team at the TV, they chose very carefully what kind of characters they look for. And of course, they copied it to a certain way to the shows in America or Germany. There was ladies and men, and everybody had a certain role. But this role was not given by the TV. It's more that they chose people who said, okay, this guy fits in that role by being himself.
Yes.
So of course I know that in Germany who would be my equivalent or something like that. But still, I believe the show we did has one very different characteristic than most of the ones I have seen, which is the Swiss Lions cooperate. We are Swiss. We look for consensus. We do not fight against each other. Never happened that somebody said, oh, you know what, you should do the deal with me instead of with that guy because I can help you much better. That didn't happen. Sometimes I think the production team was wishing for a bit more fight, yes. But we were the Swiss way. We looked at each other and said, well, would you invest there? And you? Yeah. Well, but maybe we should invest the three of us. Oh, you as well? Okay, the four of us, yeah. And then we were sticking our heads together and we said, okay, yeah, we are going to do the deal and each takes 25% or something like that, yeah. And I think this also brings added value to the startup company, to the entrepreneur, because he gets not one network, but three or four, more advice and more experience and so on. And for me, it also was super helpful because while I'm an expert in certain fields, I'm definitely not in some others. But one other of the Lions might be an expert there. And so it makes me feel more comfortable when I'm together in an investment group with somebody who really understands the relevant market. Gives you a wider diversification as well. I think this is a distinct difference to all the other Shark Tanks and Lion Dens and so on.
Yes. What is it that, this, at least in the show, usually they come out, the entrepreneurs, and then you have about a couple of minutes. I mean, it's edited, obviously, but how do you evaluate these startups in that moment? What is it that is most important to you?
Still the team. Who is it? Is this person or team 100% behind the idea? I mean, my questions were always going a bit in the direction, how much time do you spend with that? If not 100%, why not? Do you plan to change that? I cannot imagine investing in any startup where the entrepreneur is not 100% behind that. Maybe so far he or she just couldn't because of needed income. But if they get an investment, that's a precondition for me to invest. Yeah? And so team is more important than idea. And then if the team is convincing, second thing you look at, okay, what market is it? Is this a market where you can expect exponential growth? And this is risk capital. So you invest in a startup, you must be able to cope with a total loss. On the other side, you must have an upside which balances it. And so for me, the idea was, can I achieve a 10x with my investment here, in the best case? And if it was like, wow, this is cool, and maybe it grows, and maybe after 5 years it's 3 times the size of today, this might be a great chance for somebody to be an entrepreneur and to build a company which is, growing over the next years. Is it a case for a risk-taking seed investor? No, it's not.
Yes.
So I think this 10x idea was another question I had to ask myself each time.
What would be your advice to, say, the Swiss young people, to start off?
Yeah. The earlier, the better.
The earlier, the better.
Your opportunity costs go up.
Yes.
So if you think you want to be an entrepreneur or you're not totally sure of, try it. What can happen? I mean, you can lose a year, maybe you lose 2 years. If you are 24 and you lose 2 years, well, then you're 26, you're still young. You do not have to pay a mortgage yet. You don't have 2 children to send to school or whatever. If you first decide to have a corporate career because you think it's very smart to put some money aside and then be an entrepreneur, I think it's not smart. I believe then you might have, 100,000 K at the side, nice, but your cost of living are higher. your opportunity cost will be too high. So do it as early as you can.
The last topic before we go into the quick Q&A is about the Singularity University and the Singularity Fund. Maybe you can just elaborate quickly, like what was your reason to do that? I mean, like after being fully into the career that like you decided to do the Singularity University, and like what is your key takeaway from there?
Intellectual challenge.
Yeah.
So I like to learn whenever it's possible. I have heard from other entrepreneurs that the Singularity University is great, and I had to say it was really great. I learned a lot about fields of technology I had not much clue about. I mean, what do I know about? I know about clean tech. What is happening there? Yeah, what kind of learning curves and scaling curves you have? What do I know about space harvesting? What do I know about genetical engineering, 3D printing? Not much. Yeah. I know that, space harvesting, I didn't know that it exists.
Yes.
So
I didn't know either.
you learn of new fields of technology and growth and that was super interesting to me. And when I came home after this super intense week, and you also meet great people there, I said, wow, I really have to rethink where and how I invest my private money. For SUSI, not really, but when you invest in funds or something like that privately, I said, am I really prepared for this exponential development we will see over the next 20 years? I said, no, probably not. Do I believe that I have the right shares? Will these shares be supported or harmed by exponential development? And my answer to that was, I don't really know. And so I said, okay, I need to tackle that. And I was sitting together with a fund manager I know very well, Evelyn Pflugi. You should invite her to your show as well. And she before has told me many times, I would like to build my own company, and I like the idea or something like that. And I know that she is smart and has a lot of energy and brings the right pedigree to be an entrepreneur. And so we sat together and I said, look closer at Singularity. This is an amazing topic. And if you find out how we can invest in those companies which will profit while avoiding those who will probably go under or at least not be very successful in the future, then we have a fund. So she also went to Singularity University, came home super excited. And the smart lady she is, she really came up with a process of basically finding those shares which profit more of exponential technology development than others. And this is when she devised the Nasdaq Singularity Index. So we work together with Nasdaq here. Based on this Nasdaq Singularity Index, we have now the Singularity Fund. And these shares in this index and in the fund, 300 of them out of the 50,000 globally listed, are those shares which today already have turnover out of Singularity technologies. These are 12 different technologies, as I mentioned, from blockchain to 3D printing to space to renewables as well. And what we have seen in the past is this index is outperforming pretty much everything. So and I think it will continue to do so even more intense in the future. Because exponential curves go like this, and the more we are in the steep wall here, the more this index and fund will profit of it. We saw an opportunity of doing business. I could help a bit with my experience of how to build funds, how to build a fund manager, and I think it's on the right way.
What is your best valuation method for early stage startups?
Yeah, look, again, the 10x potential.
What are some of your tips for balancing work and life?
Take every year at least 3 weeks in a row, no matter how urgent your business is, and go somewhere out of your daily routine. Be it hiking, be it crossing the English Channel by swimming or whatever that is. Do a special project and do not, under any circumstances, give up these 3 weeks. Because there is, as an entrepreneur, is always a good reason why it's the wrong time. And it is the wrong time to take holiday, but you need to take 3 weeks a year. It will bring bright ideas to yourself. I did that too. I went, off-roading with friends of mine in Africa. And in Africa, I had a satellite phone with me to do one important investor call. And the investor said, how is it in Switzerland? I said, it's very cold. While I was standing in 35 degrees in a harbor in, I think, Sierra Leone or something like that. So no, take those holidays. Take free time off. And as a second advice, each day do something private, go running over lunchtime or whatever that is.
What would you say was your biggest mistake as an investor?
Early on, trusting too much that the entrepreneur would work the same way as I or my entrepreneur friends would do.
And what would you consider success in life?
Happiness.
And the last one, who's your role model in the venture capital world?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Yep. start up as early as you can. And as again, the idea is not so relevant. If you have an idea and you think it's good, start a company with. If you change the idea after 6 months and you're a good entrepreneur, you will be successful with this changed idea or a new idea. So again, don't wait. And second thing, talk with everybody about what you plan to do. It makes me frustrated when a young entrepreneur comes and says, I have this great plan and idea, but it's stealth. We are in stealth mode.
NDA.
It's stupid. If you're in stealth mode, nobody knows what you do. Nobody will support you. Nobody will talk to others. Yeah. So tell everybody what you do, and you will get support. You will get introductions. You will get network. Very unlikely that somebody will copy your great idea because A, maybe your idea is not as great as you thought, and by telling everybody, you get maybe constructive criticism. And B, very few people have energy, time, and capital to copy what you do right now. So my advice is really, if you want to build something early on, tell everybody what you plan to do.
Tobias, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who stayed all the way till the end of this video. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Make sure you stay tuned for a few more seconds so you see who is up next week. And I'll see you next Monday. Have a great day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Luisa Dobre. I'm the CEO and founder of Comet Health. So I'm looking forward to see you next week talking about healthcare innovation, how to bring an idea to a real product in the market, a product that users love. I'm really looking forward to see you all there.